Hey, what's going on everybody? Desir here, and we are going to do a defense options video for you. Now this video here is just going to show the defenses I'm going to be using this upcoming week, along with one other option that you might be able to use. And the nice thing about this is, for the alternative option, I made it so that way there was no overlapping characters, so you should be able to kind of pick and choose or kind of do a mix match type of thing for this. Now something I do want to point out is if you don't have any of these characters built up, there are nice plug and play options that you can do, such as the Out of Time with Dorm, Infinity Watch, and the Darkhold Quicksilver. Those are great plug and play options to where if you just need a filler team, feel free to throw one of these in, and they usually can do a decent amount of efficiency sync for your opponent. So let's go ahead, check out what I'm going to be using for that stage 1. For stage 1, I'm actually going to be using my Darkhold, Quicksilver, and Dakin team. Now this one here is going to be where the ISOs really do matter, because if you have the Raider on you, you're not able to get ability blocked. If you have Skirmisher like I do for Agatha in this one, when she does that AoE hit, it's going to be putting ability block on everybody. So if your opponent isn't smart and doesn't switch the ISOs over, you'll be able to get some ability blocks out there. Quicksilver in this room, I have him as a striker because he takes 2 turns for every one. He's usually able to brush off one of the ability blocks and then take his follow-up turn. So I think that's a pretty good option there. Now as far as alternative teams in here, previously I used the Rogue, Gambit, Forge with Captain America and Black Knight. This is a great team. People are still telling me they're having really good results with this team, where they usually get 1 to 2 defensive wins with this team. So I really like this team in stage 1. Make them all Raiders. Captain America really doesn't matter. You can make Captain America a fortifier, healer, whatever you want. I don't really think it's worth spending the ISOs to take him to the 5 Raider, mainly because he really doesn't bring too much with his special abilities. The ultimate being able to do the speed up is nice for the Black Knight. The special being able to throw the taunt out there. But I don't feel it's impactful enough to where you need to switch that ISO over. Let's go ahead and check out stage number 2. For stage 2, I'm putting my Superior 6 in here. Now the main reason for that is because the Illuminati should be on offense this week. Even the Krakens should be using their Illuminati on offense because there's going to be an event that's giving out that purple ISO. So they're going to be pushing very hard for it. We shouldn't really see that Illuminati on defense, and if we do, I'm just going to use my own Illuminati to counter theirs. So I feel comfortable putting the Superior 6 team in stage 2. Now what does this do for this team in stage 2? It's actually quite a bit. Green Goblin Classic, his ultimate's going to go down to a 4-turn cooldown. Lizard as well will go down to a 4-turn cooldown. Doc Ock, he's going to open with his ultimate ability, so all those nade effects that get peppered out there, he's going to extend that right off the bat. Spider Slayer, he's going to ult turn 1 as opposed to special turn 1, so he could actually just delete somebody. Also, Kraven, his ultimate ability is going to be coming back a whole lot faster. So even if you sack this team, there's going to be a good chance that they might be able to get the ultimates off again on the follow-up attack or even the attack afterwards. I think this is going to be a sleeper team in stage 2. I haven't seen it in here, but I think it's a really good fit for this team. As far as the alternative team in here, I really liked running that Black Order team where it was Thanos with Proxima, Guardian with Sasquatch, and Super Skrull in here. That did fairly well for me, whereas pulling either a Cabal team or an opponent's own Super Skrull, so being able to pull one of those big teams is actually really good. So I would go with one of these 2 teams in here if you're able to do this. Now, if you're going more for an offensive approach, keeping your Superior 6 on offense, I think is a great option. It's just I have so many offensive teams right now, I feel comfortable enough to where I can actually put this on defense, and it should pull something really big for me. Let's go ahead and move over to stage 3 next. For stage 3, I'm actually going to be using my Mephisto with the Black Order in here. This should still pull the double sack followed by like a New Warriors, which is perfectly fine. This is going to get me a 2 defensive win, which I feel comfortable enough doing. Now, if you don't have Mephisto, which I know there's maybe 1,000 people with Mephistos out there, I think going with a pure Spider Society team could work in here. If you want to go with like a Spider Society Black Knight, I think there's a better option for you to use that elsewhere. So if you don't want to use this, I would recommend using one of the plug and play teams in this room, The room bonuses in here really mean nothing. This is a dead room, so treat it as such. Let's look at stage 4 because there's going to be a more interesting option that you can actually use in stage 4. For stage 4, the Spider Society with Black Knight is amazing in this room. Now the main reason for that is Penny is going to be able to give that ability energy on spawn, so your team's going to be able to ult on turn 1. Now for Black Knight, the characters that need to flip his buffs are usually going to be the Spider-Man Big Time, where you're going to need to ult on turn 1, or there's going to be another character, Void Knight. He can ult on turn 1, which is perfectly fine, but it's going to take a lot of other weapons away. As far as the people that like to use Old Man Logan in stage 4, I just think no matter where you put Old Man Logan, it's going to pull the same type of characters. I've used it, and I know other people have as well, where they say you can't use Tangled Web against him. You definitely can. You just need to get one of your Tangled Web members to get hit. And usually people will put Nightcrawler with the Old Man Logan, which is going to cause it to where you're going to be able to get one of the hits off, and then you're going to be able to use that ult on turn 1, and then you just recover. So Old Man Logan, whether it's in stage 3, 5, 6, it's going to pull the same thing as it does in 4. So that's why I really like the Spider Society with Black Knight in stage 4. It's going to make it to where the typical counters don't work against it. And more times than not, people are going to sack it, or they're going to try to get gutsy with it, try to one-shot it, and it's not going to work. And you're still maybe going to get that one defensive win or 2 in this room. So Spider Society, Black Knight, that's going to be my best pick for stage 4. As far as an alternative team, if you really want to do that, you can go with the Duelim pick, which is going to be like the Bishop with Phoenix, throw Old Man Logan in there, Nightcrawler, and Panda Pool. That's going to work really well in here. Or if you want, take the Nightcrawler out, you can put Spider-Man Noir in here. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of do Old Man Logan and then 4 support characters, and that will still pull like an Apocalypse, which is still good. But if you're trying to min-max as far as best teams in this room, I would say Spider Society, Black Knight, and then Old Man Logan would be number 2. Let's go ahead and check out stage 5 next. For stage 5, the Extreme X-Men 3-piece with Rogue and Old Man Logan. I faced this last week and I almost lost my Cosmic Crucible because of it. The Nightcrawler going off on turn 1 just kept stunning my Cabal characters, and then I had to keep backing out. I was luckily able to clear it by putting a pre-taunt in there. So if you do like a Cabal with Kingpin or Cabal with Zombie Juggernaut, that could still work as far as a counter against this, but it still didn't feel good when I was using that counter. So I really liked this team, so I did end up breaking up my X-Men teams to where I had 2. Now I'm only going to have the 1 X-Men team, which is going to be this one in stage 5. Now the reason I like it in stage 5 is a lot of these characters get their own type of safeguard. So Old Man Logan using his special, the Rogue being able to use her special to get safeguard, Gambit gets it on spawn, Nightcrawler gets his safeguard by using his special. So they're going to be able to keep their buffs up and going. And then you have Forge in there as that nice support heal character for them. Most of the teams that try to take this out usually need their buffs. And because the buffs keep falling off because of the room rules, they're not able to keep those buffs going and sustaining them to where they can try to take this out. So they have to hit it fast and hit it hard, and hopefully they're able to clear it. So I really like this team in stage 5. As far as an alternative team, I think using the Infinity Watch would end up working in here. Or if you want to go with one of the other plug and play teams that I showed you guys from the start of the video, I think that's a good option as a alternative in here, because I don't want you to go too heavy on your defense to where you're not going to have enough to clear it. I'm usually more in the thought process of go more with a balanced approach. If you feel that you have a couple teams that you don't use that you think is better, definitely fit that in there. So I would say the teams for stage 3 and stage 5, if you don't have those, just throw the filler teams in there and make sure you have enough teams to where you can clear your opponent out. Let's go ahead and check out stage 6 next. For stage 6, I wanted to put something interesting in here that was going to be able to take advantage of not only the room rolls, but Super Scroll. So previously I had the Sasquatch with Guardian, along with Thanos, Proxima, and Super Scroll. So I had the 2 heroes, 2 villains. Because I wanted to use Black Order with Mephisto, I want to find an interesting way to still use some of these Alpha Flight characters with Super Scroll. So what I came up with is going to be Dr. Doom. If your opponent ends up using an ultimate on turn 1, Dr. Doom will ult turn 1 no matter what then. So they have to respect that. And I have him behind Sasquatch, who is a pre-taunt without being a pre-taunt. So if you do any type of splash damage, you have a good chance of trying to push him as well. The Dorm is in here basically to give everybody that revive onces. So your opponent, if they don't bring in, say, the Secret Defenders with Black Cat or North Star, these characters are going to be using that revive once mechanic as well. If your opponent tries to also use their Super Scroll, and if your opponent tries to bring a Super Scroll in here, there's not a lot of buffs on this team. There's going to be the taunt from Sasquatch whenever your character gets their turn. There's going to be the offense ups that Guardian gets, and that's really about it. So your opponent really has to try to get less buffs on their team than this team if they're going to try to get the turn advantage. I think this is going to be a sneaky team, and I'm really curious to see how this one is going to work. Now, as far as the alternative team in here, the Darkhold with Quicksilver and Dakin was doing pretty good. So I think that could still work here in Stage 6. I know a lot of other people were having some success with that. So I think that's something to look at. So overall, as far as teams that I have for offense after having this team set up, I'm going to have my Illuminati, Cabal, Masters of Evil. So those are the big 3 teams. I'm going to have my Apocalypse team, so that's number 4. And then from there, I'm still going to have my new Warriors, who can either do like a cleanup if I need it to, or they can take out some of the lesser teams. I have my Eternals, my Tangled Web characters, my Pegasus. I have a lot of stuff still for offense, even with having this setup. And I think I was able to spread out my opponent quite a bit as far as how I have everything lined up. Let me know what you guys think and what you plan to do for the following week. Do remember though, keep your Illuminati for offense. We have the ISO 3 purple. That's going to be as far as milestone rewards. So make sure that you actually do that. If you did find this video useful, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.